Welcome to Passionate Mark.
Hi guys, welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Today's a very funny way of doing a podcast because I literally woke up earlier today and I was like, I just got a message from the universe. And since you might not know me fully yet, if you don't follow me on Instagram on Mark Barner, you don't know yet what I'm about. I am a spiritual mentor. I teach people how to step in alignment with themselves. I am very intuitive, so I connect to the universe, speaking to my spirit guides and sometimes even past people. I took an education years back in clairvoyance, which in Danish is more of a Danish French word, but it really means mediumship, meaning that I use my intuition to tune in to other people. I gained this skill because I grew up in a very strict family. Well, my dad was very strict, my mom was very sweet, too sweet, and he was too strict. It's kind of like their battle in the relationship. So what happened was I was afraid of my dad because he would hit me if I didn't behave in his way. Behaving would be how it would be almost like reading his mind. He wanted me to behave in certain ways, and I couldn't do that because I couldn't read his mind yet. And so eventually I kind of learned how to read his emotions. To begin with, I would tell myself the way he parked his car or anything, that when he came home from work, working as a surgeon, I thought, maybe he's angry today because the car is parked this and this way. But really it was my intuition at play, teaching me slowly how to read energies. And I didn't know this. I thought everyone could do this, but eventually I could stay in school and find out what the mood of my dad was that given day. And so slowly I gained these skills in reading people's emotions and using my empathetic interest into other people. I was able to learn how to read energies. And also, as a very little child, I spoke to my dead grandfather. I didn't know he was dead. I was 4 years old. I played along with him. He would reply to me. And my mom found that very strange and very odd. And so later I reached out to other clairvoyants. I didn't know I had the skill myself. And so I developed this skill, and I was finally taught in school, in a clairvoyant school, like I said. And a very tough road towards getting to know my intuition and connecting to it. But I'm so glad I have this skill. And today I woke up with a message from the universe. Maybe, and I hope so, you can resonate with the message.
I just woke up from a dream that had a message. The message was to live in alignment with what you want and what you need in your life, but not being so judgmental, and instead go with the flow, and you will align yourself with the things around you that serves your highest and best good. So the most important thing is setting your intentions or your goals. It's kind of the same thing. Setting a goal, how you want to feel, how you want to be, how you want to show up in the world. How are you perceived by others? How are you going to love someone? How are they going to love you back? It's not that you construct your reality. It's more that when you live like that, you will attract the things that you are aligned with. And you will feel, when you think about when you think about something and your feelings align with what you're thinking about, and you can feel a small amount of joy. This can take some practice. But when you think about something and you feel this little bit of joy because of a situation, it feels good. It's like imagining that you're forgiving someone, and it's a burden. You've been carrying the burden of not forgiving them and being in resentment. And then you think about if all that went away and this situation just resolved itself, then you would find joy in that. You'll be relieved. When you understand that feeling of relievement, like being relieved in something dramatic, then it kind of feels like light and joyful. And the more you practice this, and the more that you listen to how that feels, the more you get to know that feeling. So when that comes back in another situation, you can recognize it and understand it's an invitation to change and to shift awareness about things. So your ego, which is also something we have to live with here on earth, the ego is just the body and the mind thinking it needs something. But really, your soul in your alignment with energies already knows what it needs and where it needs to go and what it wants. But you having awareness with what you want is you connecting to that soul energy and to that spirit that is awareness of what you want and what you need in life in a spiritual sense. So it's kind of like finding your life path, so to speak. It's like connecting to what you really want. So you can live without anxiety, you can live without stress, you can live without fear, you can live without all these things by listening to that feeling and smiling at that feeling and saying, oh, this is my ego who wants to connect with that feeling and make it real. And it's kind of, if I could explain it this way, when you feel fear, because it feels so real, you connect with it and you align with it. So you will start looking differently at situations around you. The music that before was nice and fun or calm now turns into a dramatic soundtrack to whatever situation you're in. This is very clear when people are driving and it's a stressful traffic. They turn down their radio sometimes to focus, because now that radio is no longer entertainment, now it's noise. All that shifted was not the radio, but it was you, the frequency that you connected to. So really, you wanted to connect to something that is stressful and fearful, because your ego is telling you, oh, you really need to be aware in this situation, because if you don't do this, there's something bad's going to happen. And so you're aligning yourself with fear and anxiety, and that's why you will get more of it. That's why sometimes when you do things that's not fearful, but for others, but you somehow connect yourself with it in such a sense that it aligns with your past. And in your past, when you did that same thing, something bad happened. So now you're in fear of that. So let's take spiders as an example. When you were a kid, maybe nobody reacted strongly to a spider the first 3-4 years, but then you got some awareness of spiders and you were interested in them and you talked about them, but your mother or father had a strong reaction like, oh, spiders, oh no, I hate them, or something like that. And in my case, I live in a country where spiders are not dangerous at all, and being fearful of them makes absolutely no logical sense. Even for your ego, it doesn't make sense. The only thing that makes sense is going back in ancient times, we probably were afraid of dangerous spiders. Or there might have been some cultures, so we carry around that energy, but we don't do that. Our ancestors, so our parents and our grandparents carry that energy as well. But they only carry it just like DNA is activated. They carry it like an ancient memory that's reactivated. So you start getting afraid of spiders for no reason. And even though you know there's no reason to do so, you still do it. And you listen to however you were brought up about spiders. You copy your mom and dad, which is so natural. But now you're a grown-up person. It's time to release that. And you would say, why is it important to release the fear of spiders? Because how does that make sense? I mean, it's not something I think about every day anyways. No, but you align yourself with fear if there's a spider. That means the spider controls your emotions. But really, the spider doesn't know it does that. So the spider will just be and do what it would, the same thing to a person that's not afraid of spiders. It will just be in the world just like it usually is. But you connect it to, just like the radio in the car, you'll connect it to fear, and so you'll see it a different light. You'll react differently. But really, you're just putting up stressors in your own system that's going to stress you and release cortisol and, have a full chemical reaction in your body due to what you see and that you connected to something negative. Well, now you just shifted your body into something negative, and now you don't trust. There's a reason why the spider is here. So that's why I started with saying the more you can trust, the better it is, because you will connect yourself to your wants and thoughts and emotions, so that if you trust and you think about, have awareness, I see a spider, I'm afraid of it, and start smiling about it and be like, that's so funny that I connected myself to fear in such a few seconds. In a short time, I connected and changed my inner chemical reactions and making my body more acidic and making more making it more like acidity will create diseases easier in your body. And so you will actually lower your immune system because you're exhausting yourself in some sense. I could probably explain this better another time, but you're lowering your immune system and your awareness and everything else by staying in fear. Fear is pretty much the only thing that the strongest thing that will take you away from spirit. So when there's a spider and you didn't teach yourself how to release that fear, you are now in a world filled with spiders that can change your mood all the time. And I'm just using the spiders as an example because we have so many things in our world that we can connect to with fear instead of seeing it as an event or a thing that has no logic to it, meaning that there's no logic to you being afraid of spaghetti because you once got spaghetti in your throat and you went to the hospital and everything was horrible, and now you never eat spaghetti because of that. That's a logical way of reacting to something that's traumatic, but if you don't release that, now spaghetti controls your life, and it can make you step out of alignment with who you actually are and what is serving your highest and best good. And in many ways, the spaghetti was just testing you. The spaghetti could have been any other foods, but it was just testing you, or you were testing yourself by having an extreme situation so that you can heal from that. Because the more that you do that over and over again, the better you become at healing from things. That's probably why you're listening to this too, because you already know that you probably need healing from something. And you want to be free of that pain it is to carry around the fear or annoying small things that lowers your trust in your spirit and in the universe. So in many ways, there's a huge invitation of releasing fear by looking at fear, which is the unpleasant part. And I speak from experience, and I still work on this with anxiety. So for me, it was eating mushrooms, because one time I was eating mushrooms that I picked myself in the forest, and I do spend a lot of time on research. So I knew these mushrooms were safe to eat, but because they were in the fridge for 2 or 3 days, they start losing color. And the very white mushroom we have in Europe is extremely dangerous. It's an amanita mushroom that is called angel of death. And for that reason, because you will die from eating it, there's not a lot of ways to surviving it other than really going to the hospital and them doing a serious procedure on you. So I put it on a pizza knowing that I picked it. But because I didn't trust myself in that moment while eating it. I did trust it when I made the pizza, when I put it in the oven, but something happened that I connected to my old fear of what if I have OCD and I'm over it, meaning that I live with it, but it's not controlling my life. That's why I know a lot about looking into fears. But that OCD always asks me, are you sure? Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe you can't trust yourself. Maybe you made a huge mistake. People make mistakes. That type of a feeling comes in when I'm in a situation where I'm tired or something is not going as I wanted it to go, and I stop trusting myself. And what happened is I connected to that taking the pizza out of the oven. But as I didn't know what mushroom it was, I just knew I put some white mushrooms on the pizza. But the fact was, it was not white. It was actually pink when I picked it, and it was very light gray after 3 days in the fridge. So the notion or the idea that maybe I put a poisonous mushroom in my basket when I picked mushrooms, which I would never do, except if I would only research it, and I wouldn't put it next to the edible ones. And I know all the signs of how not to mistake these two mushrooms. So what I did is I connected to that fear and was eating the pizza, and I was having a battle in my mind and my emotional system saying, Mark, you can trust yourself. But then eating the pizza, I would connect those mushrooms to be, but what if I can't? What if I made a mistake? Now I will be dying. So for 2 hours after eating the pizza and not throwing up, because I was still fighting my fear of doing something wrong. Maybe I mistaken something and I ate dangerous mushrooms and it would kill me. And I knew it wasn't true, but somehow I told myself it was true. So for 2 hours I would research this in fear of what if. And luckily I found enough evidence, which I already knew, but I found enough evidence to call someone and tell them, look, I researched these things. I think I might have been eating a dangerous mushroom. I'm not sure. I found these pictures. Please verify what you think about these mushrooms. And it was someone that already knew a lot about mushrooms. And it felt so strange sitting on the phone, because the mushrooms, when you eat them, it takes 24 hours before you actually start dying. So that's my story of I needed someone to verify it because my fear needed someone to verify it. I wasn't free in myself to trust the universe, to trust that if I ate those mushrooms, even though we have free will and we can go out straight away and eat dangerous mushrooms, I still think that there's a guidance all along. If you actually did eat these dangerous mushrooms, it wouldn't feel like fear. It would feel like an intuition saying, you probably shouldn't put those mushrooms on the pizza. Or be like, it's funny, I bought these mushrooms, I wanted to make a pizza of it, but just I don't feel like mushrooms today. And when you pick it out of the fridge the next day to eat them, because you might as well, you drop them on the floor and you'll be like, well, I guess I'm not having mushrooms anyways, or something similar. So the situation will be stopped because you trust the universe will be guiding you. So accidents will happen, which is not really accidents. I hope you can follow along here. But what I really meant to say is that I connected mushrooms to being something that I connect a little bit with fear. Because what if something dangerous would happen? What if I lost control of the situation and wasn't good enough to recognize mushrooms, which I'm pretty good at? Better than the top 10, well, better than all my friends, except for maybe 2 or 3 of them. So, I mean, I could probably 98 or 95% of the time trust myself. And the rule of thumb is don't eat anything you don't know what is. So yesterday, a mushroom dropped this cap and I couldn't see what mushroom it was, but I knew I picked it and I could trust it when I picked it. But again, I connected myself to fear yesterday when I was cooking mushrooms again. And it's just food. But I told myself, again, I connected to my memory of all those bad things happening, where none of them were bad. And I figured it out back then, and everything was great, and I didn't die and everything like that. But I still am somewhat traumatized by my own thinking, my own overthinking, my own OCD mindset that is worried some of the time. And because I connected to that, then it wasn't such a pleasure to eat those beautiful, amazing mushrooms that I picked. And so I wasn't enjoying dinner in a good state or good mental energy. So, but I wasn't aware of this until I started having awareness when I was eating the mushrooms, when I was chewing them, and one was more chewy than the other. And then I connected to fear. And I was aware that I connected to fear, but then the fear was already there. And I was afraid that I would feel the fear in full force. So I was trying to control the fear by lowering it, by saying, no, it's good enough. Don't worry. Yeah. It's going to be like, I was trying to hurry out of the fear instead of saying, oh, I feel fear. It's logical that the fear would come back because last time the fear was there too. And it was there for a reason. It was trying to save my life, which was a complete overthinking and misunderstanding of my fear. Didn't know what it was doing, but it was thinking it like it had a life of its own in my awareness, of course, in my ego. But it felt like it had a life of its own, and it was coming in to protect me. And so that's how your fear would connect to you, and actually it won't protect you, but it thinks it's protecting you, or you think it's protecting you, really. But let's look at it as something that's visiting you. It's an emotion that visits you. The more that you dare to just look at it and not do what I did is, I eventually did that and was listening to the fear a little bit, but then I got afraid, and then I was like, I had a constant battle with that fear. And so when you look at a spider, you connect to that fear. It's the same way. And so you won't enjoy nature because there's a spider sitting over there. And maybe the spider will crawl over in your hair or your face, or drop down on down your back or your neck or something like that when you're sitting there on that terrace with those friends or whatever you're doing. That spider is now taking your focus and reminding you it's a teeny tiny little spider that in your environment is less than 1%. It's like probably 0.00001% percent of what the amount of space it takes up when you're sitting there with your friends and trying to enjoy an evening or something like that. But you're really giving all that little tiny spider so much credit for being so dangerous that you cannot enjoy yourself. And I used to have that with wasps as well. And so I would be so scared of wasps when they're near me because they can sting you. And so they would always fly very close to you. And of course, I had an experience getting stung as a little kid, as a teenager. And I totally overreacted because I was not with I was alone visiting a friend far away, and I didn't feel safe with them. And so when I got stung, all this came to the surface that I didn't feel safe and all these things. And I was reacting very strongly to the wasps. And it stung me on my throat. And at some point I thought my friend said, you just ate the wasp. And so I know from memory, I was told that if it stings you in your throat, you're dying. You have to go to the hospital. And so I had a very strong reaction, which was getting up. I was 11 or 12 years old. I would get up and I would start running down the street and like pretty much slapping myself on the neck and in the face and in the hair, thinking that the wasp would still be there. And I would roll around on the side of the road. And I think I ran like 100 or 150 meters away from the restaurant. It made no sense to do so, but in a fear state of mind and in a fear mindset, you will do irrational things to run away. Like I was stung by a beehive, which I wasn't. It was just one wasp wanting my food, and probably got annoyed that I was trying to, push it away, or like, I don't know what you call it in English, but like hit it in the air. But I don't remember doing that, but I remember her doing that, and probably it stung me then. And so that's why I had fear of wasps. And the way I got over it is trying to sit with wasps, look at them in a loving mindset and really look at them and study them and be like, oh, it's such an amazing animal. It flies all over. It's got these tiny wings. It's always extremely hungry. And it's not only serving itself, it's serving the hive it's coming from. And all it does is trying to survive. It does the same thing as I do. And as it doesn't have awareness that I hunted this food for myself and I want this food for myself, or I bought it in a supermarket, then it doesn't understand that it's not allowed to eat that. And so it's like saying, well, it's in nature and you're in nature, so you need to share. And in some aspect, it's kind of a beautiful thing that we have these animals and these insects that are all around us that we share the environment with, because we are them, they are us. We all share the same space. They're not less or more allowed to do anything other than when you have your boundaries, just like it has boundaries. If you try to hit it, it will try to sting you because it feels threatened. I would do the same thing. If someone steps up in my face, I would push them away or defend myself. Or maybe even in an extreme situation, I would attack, because in a fear state of mind, it's logical to attack. And so you understanding that you can step out of fear by trusting that this thing that's near you that you fear, or that situation you're in, that job interview or anything, is just an invitation for you to practice stepping out of fear and into trust. So we can get back home in ourselves, in alignment with our spiritual body and just connect to it. And so the most important lesson in my rant here is you have fear for a reason. That fear is connected to your ego, or even maybe to ancient times of past lives, and you inherited a DNA that's afraid of spiders, whatever it is. Because it was logical for that ancient time to have fear of dangerous spiders. Just like you'll see cats being afraid of cucumbers because they look like snakes. And it's in their DNA to jump away from a cucumber if you place a cucumber behind a cat without it noticing. And then when it notices, it's going to jump away thinking it's a snake. That's in its DNA. You can do it with a kitten or a cat that's never seen a snake or a cucumber before. The same thing goes with you and so many other fears. When you have awareness of this, you can heal you, and not only you, but you can heal ancestral. You can heal the future DNA of your kids so they won't be afraid of something irrational. So this is a way to be in the world and to be less in control all the time. You can be more in trust. And when you are that, you will get all the things that you want in life that actually serves you. And you'll be like, well, if that's the case, then everyone would have gold and money. And no, because you don't want gold and money. Are you going to eat that gold or that money? No, you want prosperity. You want abundance of something. But if you love cheese, then it's abundance of cheese. Someone else loves fish, so it's an abundance of fish. We don't all want the same thing because we don't come from the same thing. We don't all want something. The only reason you'll see people wanting the same thing is because everyone's on social media and they're being victims of propaganda or ads or something else that shows them that they can get, that if they get this car, they will feel happy. No, all these people actually wanted is to be happy. They didn't all want the car. They just fell victim of a commercial telling them that if they get that car, they will be happy, which wasn't true, only momentarily, because they will tell themselves that this is true and now I'm happy, and they will, drive around that car, show their friends that car and say, look, I'm so happy because of this. But the friends that didn't see that same commercial won't understand why they're so happy because of a car. Because it's just a vehicle and it's just, transportation. But that person might think it's more wonderful that they have that coat on that they have because they did see that same commercial. So really we're falling victim of the societal nature that is that we want to copy people around us and we want to fit in. So more people that have success have that car. Now we connect that car with success, and we connect success with happiness and joy. But we all don't want all those things in the end. If you really dive deep, you don't want all those things. You actually just want the feeling it's going to give you. If I would just say, I'll come along and I'll sell you the feeling and say, here's, I have this happiness in a jar. You don't have to be happy about the jar, but when you open it, you will just become happy for the rest of your life. And you'll be like, well, I would love to have that, because then you're no longer a victim of propaganda and things and ads and manipulation. You're just gonna feel joy no matter what, and you'll just have a joyful life. So that's an easy sell, but we put that emotion into products so we can sell them, because some people will actually get happy to get a car, because then they can reach the people they love on the other side of town. And so in many ways we connect joy into things, but really the things are not giving us joy. We are getting joy from things. So the thing has nothing to do with it. It's just how we install that into our mind, how we install that into our emotions. So you stepping up, having more awareness and control in some sense to begin with, but releasing control later, having control of your awareness, meaning that you focus. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking, they're asking. If you want more peace, more love, more calmness and trust in the universe and your path, you will start having awareness by releasing these things, working through the fears. And they're saying that one recommendation to be better at this, because if you're already struggling to begin this journey, the only thing you have to do is shut your eyes, sit somewhere peaceful, breathe, notice your breath. But there's a short word for this. It's called meditation. And that's how I got my messages. That's how you can get your messages. That's how you can step into alignment. And that's how you can have awareness of the fears that you have, and reminding yourself the reason the fears are there is because the fear thinks it's helping you. When you realize through awareness that it's not helping you, you can literally talk to your fear and say, thank you for being here. I know that you're trying to help me, like a buddy would help his buddy, and your friend would step up or whatever. I know you're trying to help me, but I don't need your help in this situation. I don't want you to be here, but I will let you be here until you understand that I don't need you. I'm actually good. I'm okay. I'm no longer afraid of spiders. I don't want to be afraid of spiders. So I release that. Yes, the fear is going to visit me in a smaller amounts every time I get near a spider, and eventually I'm able to hold a spider. I'm able to pet a spider. And it might sound dangerous and horrible in your mind right now, because if you're afraid of spiders, it sounds like annoying. It's like, I could never do that. But you can, and you can do anything you want and you set your mind to, because you are being supported by the universe. They want you to succeed. They actually want you to see these things for yourself. But you're put here to go through this pain and trauma of it, so you can feel the relief and the enjoyment of getting through it and getting better. Like when you had fear of riding a bicycle and you were afraid of falling over, but your parents or someone would hold you and show you how to do it. And eventually you would learn how to do it, and you would trust it, and then you would try it because you feel confident. So this is sometimes a slow process, but it's the same of learning how to ride a bike. You start having fear about it, and then you learn, and then you really enjoy riding a bike, and then you realize riding a bike is freedom, and you realize that the feeling of freedom makes you so happy, and you are free to do what you want and explore. And so that's gonna feel the same way when you release these anxieties. And that's why I can't wait to release my anxiety and my fear around mushrooms, because I still eat them. That's why I practice it. I eat them, I pick them, I love them, all the process up to eating them I love. Then if I'm alone, I start worrying or questioning myself. Is this edible or not? And I already researched it. I have pictures of it. I verified it 2 times maybe. And I know it's that mushroom. I picked it. I know it very well. I've even eaten it before. But that fear is still showing up and saying, hello, I think you need me now. I'm like, I don't need you. Please go away. But instead of accepting that the fear still thinks it wants to help, I will then actually connect with that fear and be like, okay, maybe I do need you because maybe I did make a mistake. But I didn't make a mistake. And so the fear doesn't need to be there. And I'm not trusting, so the fear is there. And that's really my journey. I hope it inspires you to maybe step up and start taking responsibility that the fear that you're sensing, even when you watch the news, this is my biggest advice. If there's a takeaway you can have from this podcast today, it would be this: stop watching the news. Because when you watch the news, you're not in an enjoyment, in like happiness. You're not like thinking, oh, this gives me so much joy because there's so many great news out there of good, positive things that just makes my day and I just enjoy it so much. No, it's negative news. It's literally designed to keep you in a fear mindset. It used to be just to give you awareness that here's what to worry about. There's a tiger loose in this and this town, so please don't go there. And if you are there, be aware that there's a tiger. And I just hope you have a good day. And then they would just end the news like that. But now it's more like, here's all the list of things you should fear. Even the things that's over and done. Now there's a new strand of a virus, or there's a new strain, or there's a new, there's a new variant, that's what it's called. There's a new variant of whatever virus, and it's not really killing anyone, but it could potentially be dangerous, blah, blah, blah. Really, this doesn't help you at all. It's not going to help you. It only helps you step into a fear mindset and taking experimental medicine because someone on TV is trying to sell it to you. And be aware that there's so much corruption in our world today that people will pay other people to say things just so you will believe them. There will be fake ratings on a restaurant so that you will visit the restaurant. There will be even negative ratings on a restaurant from a competitor that never ate at that restaurant, but they want you to feel fear, and so that's why they wrote that. So you might choose the other restaurant that's neighboring that one. So being aware that there's so much corruption that there's actually lobbyists and people lobbying to pay other politicians to say something that's actually not true, which is a twisted way of saying something, or like a lie that's hidden behind 20% truth. They will try to do this to manipulate you to think in certain ways, so you'll step into a fear mindset, and then they'll offer you the solution. Buy this car, buy this product, eat this food that is highly processed and won't serve you, but you won't question it because you're in a fear mindset. You're just following orders. That's why I tell you, don't watch the news. It literally is a fear machine making you into a victim, and what some people would call a sheep, but really making you into this flock mentality where, what if I don't fit in? What if I don't do this? What will happen? Just like I would question myself about the mushrooms. It would be connected to what other people said to me. How do you know, Mark, that this mushroom is the right one? How do you know? Are you like educated mushroom forager? Or like, maybe what if you made a mistake? This is what I've heard from people that are afraid of mushrooms because they watched the news about dangerous mushrooms. Now they have no idea what they can eat in nature, but they'll happily go down for 10 euros or $15 or even $20, buy mushrooms in a store that actually grows in their own garden. So this really shows that if you're in a fear mindset, you become enslaved. And this is what they said to me over and over. The fear enslaves you. This is how my dream started. It was an aware dream, so I was half awake. It was kind of like a meditation after I slept. And they would say, you will be enslaved every time you are in a fear mindset. It's okay that the fear mindset pops up, but if you don't have awareness and you don't practice this and you don't dare to sit with it, I once did a quote that I also channeled that's called sit with it. That means you have an emotion, and the invitation from the universe is try to sit with that emotion no matter what it is. If it's joy, you will enjoy it, right? If it's fear, you will probably fear it. So the fear doesn't do anything to you other than change your chemicals in your body and your brain, which eventually, if you fear a lot, then it's quite dangerous because it's going to give you stress and diseases and such. So the more that you are aware to sit with it and dare to do so, the more you can literally, it's like a wound. Look at it heal instead of trying to pick it and stick your fingers in it and dry the blood off all the time. Let it dry out. Let it become a wound and let it become a scar, and then let it heal fully. But if you keep picking it and scratching it, it's not going to be a beautiful healing, and it's going to be much longer. This is the same thing as sitting with your emotions. So avoid stepping into this fear mindset. So avoid watching the news. Start watching the weather outside. Start having conversations with people that you love about what their passions are, like what are the goals for the day, things that motivate you, things that makes you happy. Listen to podcasts that's inspiring. Listen to music. If you want to know what's going on in the world, well, listen to some happy radio or like an, I don't know, Instagram thing that's all about puppies and enjoyment. You're not going to become stupid because of this. Don't worry. Read some books that inspires you. There's so many things to get inspired by. The addiction to news is a product that's been sold through many years now, but it used to be something that was just necessary just to know what's going on in the world. Now it's unnecessary information all the time. You will literally get 1% out of 1% of things that's relevant for you. You'll get that with trust in the universe. You'll get that 1% from a coworker at work that says, oh, did you hear? And then they will tell you. And if it's something fearful that's not really relevant for you, you could just tell them, hey, listen, I love that you're trying to share, but I actually don't watch the news. I don't really care about the news anymore. I actually became much freer after I stopped watching the news. And that could be your sentence too. I became happier, freer, and just in general, I enjoyed my life more by stop watching the news. And if there is news that I need to hear about, I will hear about it. There's no doubt about it. If I need to know something, I will be told, and I won't miss out. I also align myself and connected with people that also don't watch the news. And we have such fun together and great conversation about life and awareness and small happenings of whatever that's relevant. So that's really a huge invitation for you to not be enslaved by this news and not being enslaved by fear. So anxiety, stress, fear, all these things it's a global disease. People are stressed, fearful, and just worried most of the time. And the way that we live our lives is through a screen, including me. That is not a great way to connect with yourself. Stepping out in nature is much more healing. And we actually know this from statistics and scientific research. Stepping outside is actually super healing. Walking in the forest or walking down the beach or close to the ocean has negative ions in the air, and that benefits you. You actually will heal faster being around those things. And walking with mindfulness could be something that really also will de-stress you, will take you out of the fear mindset. And being in the now, learning mindful meditation, stuff like that can actually help you. And that's why I love doing cold plunges. I don't love them, but I do them because I love it afterwards. I have fear to begin with. Oh, it's going to be so cold. It's going to be horrible. Blah, blah, blah. But that's my fear mindset. And I listen to it and be like, but you've done it so many times before, Mark. So I know that it's not going to be so horrible. So, I mean, some things you can do just to get healthier and be more balanced and trusting more. So I urge you to, if you have a lot of fear and you find it hard to do all the things that I said during this podcast, one thing I think you should do out of all of them is just start walking in nature every day for at least 10 to 30 minutes, somewhere where there's nature, plants, trees. If you can, walk around water, a lake, or something like that. And if possible, be around animals, dogs, cats, anything that's normal around you. Being around them too also connects you to being in the now, watching them being in the now all the time and not being in the fearful mindset all the time either. Of course, a lot of dogs are in a fearful mindset sometimes because that's why they bark, but that's why it's because their owners never taught them. I might do a podcast about a dog and cats and whatever, how to train them, how to help them not be in a fear mindset. But I hope this inspired you. It was extremely inspiring to get this message. I made it very long, but I think that's why they gave it to me, because I'm able to kind of make it very detailed of when in a situation, how you can act upon these things. So the short message was just like, step into a happy mindset by releasing fear, forgiving yourself, forgiving others, staying in peace with others, even small discussions. Make sure they end in peace. It's okay that a day goes by, but do get back to that person. Even they started it or you started it doesn't matter. Make sure to have peace. Find peace in you and forgive yourself. And when you forgive yourself, you forgive others too, and start forgiving others too. It's okay that they did what they did. They tried and they thought it was the best. And even if they didn't and they were evil and whatever, forgive them because they don't know better. You'll be free of so many things. And also, don't be enslaved. Avoid enslavement. Enslavement is always recognizable as fear. So don't be enslaved. The things that you pick, the things that you think you want, you are being enslaved by the media, by ads, by propaganda, to think in a certain way. So be aware of who wants you to think in a certain way and why they do this. You don't have to literally find out why, but you just ask the question, why? You're just being skeptical in a happy mindset, smiling about it. I wonder why it's so important for this person for me to do this, or to sell me this product, or to whatever. So in short, it's all what it is. It's all about love. It's connecting to that love that's in you, and that love can't thrive if there's fear. It's not possible to have love and fear at the same time, because fear is ego and love is spirit. So you consist of love. We're all made of love. And I want you to inspire you with the last thing. There's a YouTube channel, there's a few YouTube channels doing a lot of really interesting small interviews and documentaries about people who had near-death experiences. It's called NDE, near-death experiences. You will understand, when you watch, let's say, 10 different of those, you will understand that there's no need to be fearful. There's no need to put fear in your life, because if you do, you will only live a more fearful life. Not only, but when you die, you will start living in fear of death, and you will sometimes step into your own limiting beliefs, meaning if you believe in hell, you will visit hell before you will visit heaven, because visiting hell is also another lesson reminding you how to step out of hell, which is forgiving, loving, enjoying yourself. there's a story of one that was extremely religious. She died, and when she left her body and she saw all the doctors working on her, and she left the body, she stepped into hell, and it felt like an eternity for her there, until she starts singing in hell, reminding herself that we can create joy out of nothing by just singing. And by the few seconds of singing in hell, she stepped right into heaven, and was told that it was not her time. She was able to look at all her memories from back in her life and forgive herself, forgive people around her. Because when you get there, you'll feel so much love. And I'm not saying this because it's just an idea of that's how it is. No, we literally have hundreds and hundreds and even thousands of people who had near-death experiences and that came back and told the story. And the fun thing is, it always takes them many years to actually being able to talk about it, because they feel so alone with that emotion of having that near-death experience. But I channeled many years ago of how it was to be in the spirit world. So this totally resonates with me when I hear these near-death experiences, that 99% of these people, they all leave their body and they're no longer fearful, they no longer have pain, and they see themselves being operated on or being in that traffic accident or whatever it is they're in. And they see their own body and they're aware that they're not in it anymore. They are like suddenly aware that, oh, it's me. That is me. I didn't recognize myself with all those tubes in me, or whatever it is. Sorry. So what they do is that they end up in a space that's super safe, super loving, and they have conversations with whoever represents their universe. They will embody in a space where you will be non-fearful and you will be loving and curious, and they will tell you about your life. You're able to look at your memories, you're able to realize what you did wrong in your life and how to better it, and then you get the chance of coming back, if it's not your time, of course. So everyone that comes back into the body, they're all saying that they can't wait to come back. Not that they want to die, but they can't wait to come back, because it's such a beautiful feeling being in pure love and full understanding and full awareness and full all-knowing about what the world is and why we're here and everything like that. And when they come back, they miss that place. And that's why sometimes people get depression here, because they don't connect to nature, they don't connect to love, they only connect to the fear mindset, and they miss going back, and they want to be relieved of this heavy feeling it can be to be on earth. So I urge you to, if you are depressed in any ways, and if you want to, I don't want you to look at it and watch it to kill yourself, because that's not going to be the same feeling. But I want you to watch it because I want you to stay alive. I want you to enjoy life. I want you to understand that the school of life is so important, and it's here to help you excel and understand all the traumas here feel so very real and true. But when you get on the other side, it's just a memory, because you're no longer connected to fear in the same sense. And it's going to be a beautiful relief. So you might as well enjoy it while you're here. You can literally tune in to that same feeling of the other side and the universe by actually enjoying yourself here and understanding if there's resistance in anything that you do. It's just an invitation for you to relieve that resistance, to forgive, to move through it, to accept that feeling and work to release it. And I hope that I can end on this note, and that it was understandable, that my rant wasn't too confusing because I was half tuned in some of the time. And I do hope that you get inspired by this and you will get all the enjoyment, because you are such a beautiful soul, and I can't thank you enough for sharing your time with me, not only on this podcast and listening to me and maybe recognizing some of the emotions and connecting to the voice of the universe that works through me. And I'm so appreciating of what's a beautiful soul you are, and that we're sharing this space here on earth at the same time. I find that magical, that I can talk to you this way and give you messages without us actually being close or maybe even not knowing each other, but you still recognize yourself in my words, and I recognize you by delivering this message. There will be a few people that would listen to this podcast and think, I don't understand half of this and I don't know what to use it for. But these words will still work in you. They would still, even if you forgot the whole entire podcast, there would still be what you needed from this. It's like a glass of water, and you just sip from it, how thirsty you are. And you might look at it and say, it's still a glass of water, it's still full, but it's because you don't need much maybe. And some other people need to drink the full glass of water to get that information in them, meaning they take what they need, and then, there's the healing has already started. So I hope it resonates with you. It really did with me when I got this message. I'm still lying in bed speaking for 50-something minutes just to do this and to give you this message. I hope you appreciate the message and that it was clear. If you want to reach out to me, you can go to Instagram and you can go to Mark Barner, MarkBarner, and you can connect to me through there, sending me a message, or you can even see some of my posts that I do a lot about health and some of spirituality. And I hope to do more like this on my Instagram eventually, but right now I'm focused on waking people up with them taking responsibility of their own health. If you want to sponsor this, if you have a company or anything, you want to sponsor this podcast, you're very welcome to reach out as well. Or if you know someone that you think should sponsor a podcast like this, let me know. And also, if you think someone needs to hear this podcast, please do share it with them, not for my sake, but for their sake. I just want this episode to be listened to, or even some of my other podcasts, to inspire the people that don't know they have this energy in them and that they are amazing beings. They just don't have awareness about it yet. And so that's why I'm here, to open that awareness, and that I can deliver these messages now and then. I thank you again for listening and your time, and you'll hear from me in another podcast. Take care and stay in that beautiful, fearless, and forgiving mindset of pure love.
Stay motivated, stay passionate, and thank you for listening to Passionate Mark.